Kafka is terrible. No, not from a design perspective, not from a voice actor perspective, or anything else relating to gameplay, but simply in our minds and in our hearts, she is terrible. There are a lot of reasons as to why this is, but generally, I think that content creators are giving a disservice to any nihility character that is going to be releasing in the future. The fact that I see so many people saying that Black Swan is going to be bad unless she is run with Kafka is a complete mockery of the character design of Black Swan. And I want to talk in this video about why they are completely wrong about this. I want to give over some facts, some figures, and I think that bigger content creators really have a duty to give their viewers correct information. Because even me, myself, I can admit to doing this, will watch a video from one perspective and I'll think, okay, that's that. And then I'll go on with my life without thinking about it at all. And then it gets brought up and I'll say essentially the same thing that came up in that video. Because that's how I understand it. But then it turns out, from someone else's perspective, they completely show clear facts and figures as to why they are completely wrong. And therefore I'm mistaken. So I think it's really important that not only in this video I'm going to talk about Black Swan and whether you should be pulling for her, but I'm also going to be talking about Kafka and should you pull for her before getting Black Swan, and also why Kafka needs to be something that all of us as a community get over. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, Kafka. What is Kafka? Who's Kafka? What does she do? Kafka is a unit that released quite a while ago. She follows the path of nihility under the lightning element, and she gives a shock on enemies. She also has the innate ability to make damage over times happen again, which essentially makes dots deal double damage. The way that she works is whenever you apply a damage over time with Luca, for example, Kafka is going to use her E, or her skill, or her ultimate, and this is going to make the damage over time that is currently on that enemy happen again. Yes, in some cases that is literally doubling the damage. However, this innate ability is not just with Kafka. Luca has it on his default attacks, and Sampo has it on one of his eidolons. So it's really important for Black Swan's viability that we understand that Kafka is not the only one who can make damage over time happen again before the enemy's turn. Now, for the longest time, Kafka has been in the spotlight. Now, this is literally just because there is a lack of damage over time characters. The only characters we have are 4 stars, that being Sampo, Luca, and Gwenaifen. Gwenaifen's dot is weak. I'm going to say it right now, her dot is one of the worst dots. Sampo's dot is decently strong, and Luca's dot is the strongest. This is literally just because of the elements that they follow, as well as their kits. Gwenaifen's ignite is weak, simply because that's not her main goal. Her main goal is Fire Kiss, which lowers enemy resistance. Sampo's main goal is kind of damage, but he provides increased damage taken from his ultimate, specifically to damage over times. And Luca is literally just damage. That's all he provides. So Luca is going to be the strongest dot to be running alongside Kafka, and doubling his damage is a very strong thing. However, now we're getting a character released. Quite a lot of people are worried as to her viability, being Black Swan, when used without Kafka. And so now let's look at Black Swan's kit. Black Swan will apply a fate card to an enemy. This card will level up depending on the amount of damage over times that happen on that enemy. For the rest of the video, I'm going to short damage over times to dots, so if you ever hear me say dot, that literally just shorter for damage over time. So the dot that is applied on an enemy, whenever that happens, whether that be through making it happen artificially, through Luca's default attack, Sampo's Eidolon, or Kafka, it is going to apply an extra stack of that card. Whenever that card reaches a certain breakpoint, I'm not 100% sure on this because it was worded funny in the live stream, where it said it increases the damage over time dealt. The thing is with this, is I think that it means whenever you hit a certain breakpoint, it's going to make it so enemies take increased dot. However, you could also read this as, the more stacks, the more damage it does, and that could also be the way it works. But we'll just have to see. The reason why a lot of people are saying that Kafka is going to be required for this character is because Black Swan's entire kit revolves around stacking this. But the thing that not a lot of people are realizing is Kafka is not doubling the stacks. She's not doubling the dot because of the way that it works. Innately, Black Swan's dot, her little stacking cards, cannot be doubled by Kafka because it is a completely different mechanic. The damage of it is completely required to be the damage of the stack, not the damage of the debuff itself. This means that, as an example, if I were to use Sampo and apply 2 stacks of wind shear, and Kafka was to attack, it's not going to magically turn that stack into 4, you know, it's not going to turn it into 4 stacks of the wind shear. But that exact same thing can be said for Black Swan's cards. If you have 4 stacks of Black Swan's card, it's going to deal the damage of 4 cards. Kafka is not going to magically make it go from 4 to 8. Yes, it is possible with enough debuffs applied to an enemy that it can go from 4 to 8, but that is still not doubling it. What Kafka is doing is she is making it so Black Swan's dot triggers once artificially through her own turn, and from the looks of it, she is applying 2 stacks. So that is Kafka making it happen again, is applying 2 stacks, and then she's also making Gwenaifen's little dot happen, so therefore it's going to 7 stacks. Once again, it's not doubling it, it's just making the damage happen again. In some cases, yes, this can be double, but in this case, it's not. And I think this is really important to explain, that Kafka does not double the damage a dot does. It just makes the effect of the dot happen again whenever Kafka takes a turn. This has led a lot of content creators to sort of make videos saying how Black Swan is not going to be worth pulling unless you have Kafka. This is going to squander a lot of people's love for the character, because they're scared to pull for this character because of how much they trust these content creators, and they're gonna think, oh well, I've got enough pulls for Kafka but not enough pulls for Black Swan, so I might as well get Kafka and then wait for Black Swan to come around. No, they're going to quit by that time because they don't have the character they like, and unfortunately they probably don't know that. So once again, it is really important to explain the fact that Black Swan works without Kafka. Completely. Kafka does not be the baseline for dot, and I think everyone is sort of riding this hype train straight to the moon that they think that Kafka is the requirement for running a DOT team. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to give my opinions on whether you should be pulling for Black Swan if you do not have Kafka. The fact of the matter is, Black Swan's best team is going to be with Kafka. That is an undeniable fact, that her best team is with Kafka. Flat out, no way of avoiding it. However, Black Swan's best team is not going to be so different from her second best in slot team. The only reason we're thinking like this is literally just because of the way it's portrayed. Think about it this way. Why are you going to use Black Swan's second best in slot cone when her best in slot cone is right there? You can pull for it, why don't you? It's her best in slot. Yes, it is going to be her best in slot, but the way that the Honkai Star Rail developers design their game means that best in slot is not the only thing that works. People use Sushang still to 0 cycle memory of chaos. If people are using Sushang to 0 cycle memory of chaos, then I'm sorry. There is no way that a new 5-star character, that is releasing in 2024 with Penacony as the headliner banner, the first one that gets people pulled into the game, is going to be bad. It's just not physically possible from a game design perspective, a game profit perspective, a community perspective, in any perspective. She is going to be amazing, and I am very set on it. So if you do not have Kafka, in short, yes, you can pull for Black Swan. Kafka will be releasing a lot, because people know there's demand for it. I do not expect the fact that people think that Dot is not going to work unless Kafka's there is ever going to go away. It's going to be a thought, and people are still going to be pressured into getting Kafka. And MiHoYo being a company are going to take great... basically what I'm trying to say is Kafka's reruns are not going to be far between. They're not going to be few. There's going to be a lot of Kafka reruns. I'm just saying it now. Kafka reruns are not going to be uncommon. But Black Swan, on the other hand, might be. So if you want to pull, or if you're weighing up pulling for Kafka and Black Swan, I highly recommend pulling for Black Swan, because Kafka will come back, and Kafka is not the reason why Black Swan is good. Black Swan is the reason why Black Swan is good. Just a few more things. I wanted to say that if you have anywhere from 30 to 50 pulls, I believe if you are sort of lucky, it is possible to get Kafka and Black Swan. Because, quite simply, we're getting a very large world. And this is what I'm going to say right now. We are getting 23 pulls at the start of the patch. Not only this, but we're also getting chests from Penacony, trotters from Penacony, we're getting side quests, main quests, and puzzles. All this together, it's probably going to accumulate to around 80 pulls, give or take. Maybe even 100, depending on how generous they are. As well as the fact that the events that are coming out seem really good. We're going to be getting tons of Trailblaze power from it, and it's going to be just a great time. So I think you guys should just relax, and if you like Black Swan, you should pull for Black Swan. She does not require Kafka, and if you're thinking about weighing up the opportunities of pulling for Kafka or pulling for Black Swan, then there's no point weighing it up. Pull for Black Swan, because Kafka will always be here, she's always going to be rerunning, she's a badass character, the Stellaron Hunters aren't going anywhere. Hell, I'm pretty sure the first part of Penacony that we're getting is the introduction to Acheron, as well as we're getting to fight Sam. Sam is a Stellaron Hunter. We're going to see more of Kafka, it's undeniable. She's going to be there, she's probably going to be a main part of the story. So Kafka is safe, and it's not going to be a Eula situation in Genshin, where they release the character and then it takes like another 2 years until they rerun her. Kafka will probably be back within like 4 or 5 months. So do not worry, do not fret, and yeah. That's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, please drop a like. If you dislike it, then dislike it. If you have anything to say in the comments, I will try my best to respond to all of them. And dropping a sub would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great day. See you in the next one. Peace.